So in this segment, we're going to be discussing the Mark Menzies stuff regarding the Tory MP who allegedly use former Tory MP who allegedly use campaign funds to pay off some bad people. He said apparently he loves to go to S-rated festivals, whilst the press harangued Rayner. So I don't know what the hell's going on with this geezer, but let's have a listen.
Right, let's look at one front page for tomorrow. And there it is, front page of the Times. Tory MP demands thousands of pounds from party aides. Nick is back.
Well, Vic, this is a story about Mark Menzies, who's the Conservative MP for Fylde in Lancashire. And in the last few minutes, the BBC's been reporting that he has now lost the Conservative whip. Now, the Times is alleging that Mr Menzies is under investigation over allegations that campaign funds were misused and that he abused his position after allegedly making a late-night phone call saying he'd been locked up by what he described as bad people who were demanding thousands of pounds. The Times is also saying that the Conservative Party has been aware of these allegations for more than 3 months and until tonight had not taken any action. We tried to contact...
So they knew this about 3 months. You know, they moan at Labour over the Rayner stuff, which is anywhere near as bad as this stuff. They sat on this for 3 months because they knew once the press got a hold of it, it's going to be a complete nightmare. That's why they sat on it for as long as possible.
Mr Menzies this evening, we haven't heard back. The Conservative Party, in an initial statement this evening, before that move on the suspension of the whip, they said the Conservative Party is investigating allegations made regarding a Member of Parliament. This process, they said, is rightly confidential. And then they concluded saying that...
So the Tory party say all their investigations confidential, but you will see in a few minutes Andrew Jenkins saying the investigation that Labour are doing on Rayner should be at 100% transparent. Doesn't make any sense, especially when this stuff is far worse.
The party takes all allegations seriously and will always investigate any matters put to them.
Especially this stuff following the William Ragg thing where he was honey-trapped. Now you have stories around a Tory MP who was essentially blackmailed into handing over money. It's completely nuts. So that situation could have got so much worse. The Liberal Democrats, in the form of Daisy Cooper, who is the party's deputy leader, she issued a reasonably lengthy statement saying it's frankly appalling that the Conservative Party have known about this scandal for more than 3 months. She went on to say, when our national security faces threats on many fronts, it's deeply concerning that some MPs are so open to traps, threats and manipulations. Rishi Sunak must suspend the whip for Mark Menzies immediately. Well, that has happened in the last few minutes. The BBC is reporting while all the relevant authorities investigate the matter. And then Daisy Cooper, she concluded by saying, this saga is an insult to the British public. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just getting absolutely gnarly. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Tory party, I'll be honest. There's more here. You know, the Menzies story isn't just a marmalade dropper. It's a tale so astonishing you have to pick yourself up off the floor. Lancashire police confirm it is investigating, also reviewing info on Menzies' allegations after Labour wrote to them asking for an investigation. Why politicians and the public have to write to the police to start investigations is absolutely nuts. I guess maybe a crime has to be reported. I don't actually understand how it works, but surely if crimes are reported in the press, someone in the police can say, oh, look, what's going on there, rather than people having to write letters to them. In my opinion, it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, we carry on. This was meant to be in a different video, but we'll get rid of that. There's more to discuss here. Tories received legal advice that Mark Menzies' alleged misuse of campaign funds amounted to fraud, but decided they weren't obliged to tell the police because it was donors rather than party money. Oh, that makes it okay. Then I'm sure the party donors are so happy that their money was wasted on this guy and whatever the hell he was doing. The Conservatives were warned ex-Tory MP Menzies' alleged misuse of party funds may have constituted fraud, but the whistleblower was told there was no duty to report it. So when Labour commit crimes, or when Labour are alleged to commit crimes, how dare they not go to the police and report these straight away? When the Tories commit crimes, look, we have no responsibility to report anything to the police. It's a joke. This is something they should be taken up on as well. There's more here.
Story. There's very few people reading this, and we saw this reflected, didn't we, from those constituents. I mean, there's kind of a comical edge to it in some ways, given how extraordinary some of the allegations are. But there is as you say, a more serious edge to this. First of all, he's always denied allegations, and we should be very clear the police have never pursued any of them thus far. But there is...
But again, it's because apparently no one told the police about it. because there was no duty of care according to the Conservative Party, and it's only when Labour asked for an investigation the police did anything.
Seemingly a pattern of behaviour here that may open wider questions about, you know, his propriety to be an MP, if you like. And second of all, is this big question about donations, and that's clearly what Labour are interested in today, suggesting the police should get involved. We should say the police have issued a statement, by the way, this evening, in which they said that no formal complaint has been made, but they are aware of those media reports.
That's interesting there. So let's see what the date is. Bear with me 1 second. So Lancashire Police, so this date on the 19th, and this Sky News clip from the 18th. So that's quite interesting. They're about a day apart.
So, yeah, you know, it is quite extraordinary stuff. And as I also tried to reflect in my piece, this is what Rishi Sunak does not need. I mean, he really just does not need another scandal involving another Conservative MP.
This is it, isn't it? We'll hear from Annalise Dodds later in the programme, who's written to the chair of the Conservative Party. And, you know, as you say in the report, it's important not to
Politicians love writing letters.
say that this is not just Conservative MPs who are caught up in these scandals. But again, it's a bit of a nightmare for Rishi Sunak.
Yeah, I think it is on two levels. So first of all, you could look at today, when you look at those two...
You know, following the William Bragg stuff, I think this is a complete nightmare for them. You know, this is from Sunak.
Should Mark Menzies quit as an MP?
So, let me just take the second one first. It's right that Mark Menzies has resigned the Conservative whip. He's been suspended from his position as a trade envoy whilst the investigations into those allegations continue. You know, for our part, I can't comment on our ongoing investigation while it's happening, and he's no longer a Conservative MP, as I said.
So yeah, you know, he's saying the whip's he's given up the whip, and that's about it. That's what Rishi Sunak's saying, even though allegedly party donor funds could have been used.
This,
I did find this clip from the newsagents a bit weird, a bit frustrating.
the best is Angela Rayner. And I hear what Craig was saying about Mark Menzies, and I think it almost certainly does lead you to start thinking about mental health issues, particularly amongst...
I don't know how you're going to excuse his behaviour as mental health issues, I'll be honest.
MPs in Parliament who, you know, are under this kind of pressure, the kind of pressure that makes you do crazy stuff. But I cannot understand...
I don't think this is mental health related, I'll be honest. I'm no expert in the field, but whatever the hell he was going up to was not down to the pressures of Parliament, which are nowhere near as bad as people make out to be, in my opinion. Like, they make it out like it's so difficult to be an MP when their jobs are relatively fairly easy.
And how any of his colleagues, how any of his MP colleagues in the Conservative Party now would dare put their heads above the parapet to start talking about Angela Rayner and what looks to be a potential tax bill of $1,500.
I mean, this is where, like, I don't know what she's arguing here. She's trying to argue about, you know, the amount of money, but the point is what the Tory party can argue is the whip was withdrawn and we've done an immediate investigation into it, even though that's not true. What they're going to say about Rayner is the whip hasn't been withdrawn. That's what they're going to say. She's still a sitting Labour MP, despite, you know, there's allegations and nonsense. That's what they're going to argue. We've acted quickly, withdrawn the whip from Menzies. This is the argument they're going to make. Labour hasn't done so.
£100 that she insists.
I think that's what Soap will talk about.
The calculation, the mental calculation that's made is, look, we've got a hell of a lot of incoming mud sticking to our face. Let's throw some back and just see if any of it sticks. And they will continue to go after Angela Rayner and the client journalists who are...
So ironic, you know, in my opinion, people who I would say are probably more closer to client journalists talking about other people who are client journalists. Yeah, you know, you guys aren't, you know, hard-hitting interviewers, at least definitely not you, Sobel.
Sympathetic to that. The Mail has been leading the cry against Angela Rayner.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts what the Mail have done. It's kind of obsessed, low-key obsessed.
But you need something new. I mean, even if you are client
Greater
journalists...
Manchester Police investigation.
This clip from Sky News.
We'll talk about that in a minute, but I think that there are, like, Matless analysis makes no sense. Even Sopel's a little bit, you know, the reason they're going to keep doing this is, you know, the argument they're going to make is we've acted quickly, the Labour Party haven't. That's what I can see them saying. So, you know, this is Andrea Jenkins saying, I asked the Prime Minister if he agrees with me that a full transparency in the current Labour Party investigation is of the utmost importance, even though the Tories are quietly holding an investigation into Menzies despite being told months ago that his actions were potentially illegal. I don't get it, you know. And as Perkins says, should we expect full transparency over Mark Menzies, which I think his crimes are far worse? This clip from, you know, there's two Chris Bryant clips I want to discuss.
Rishi Sunak made the point that perhaps Keir Starmer should spend less time reading books and encouraging his deputy leader to read the rules around tax returns. How concerned are you about this new investigation to Angela Rayner?
Well, what is the allegation? James, you're the person who's made the allegation. What is it that you're alleging Angela Rayner has done?
The matter is with Greater Manchester Police, as they've confirmed.
You wrote to them to demand that they investigate something. What did you ask them to investigate?
Just shout a bit louder, just so none of us can hear. Unlike Chris, who...
I mean, this is probably the most snowflake thing I've ever seen. He's not talking that loud. He's like, how about Chris, how about you shout a bit louder so no one can hear me? Like, honestly, he didn't shout that loud. Like, and obviously, you know, why don't you tell the rest of the class? That's all he's asking. Tell the rest of the class what she's alleged to have done.
Who shouts and makes all sorts of public allegations. What I want to do is an allegation has been made to the police. The police are investigating that. Let's give them the time and the opportunity to do that, which I thought was the Conservative Party, the Labour Party's position.
What do you think she's done wrong?
Hold up. You're saying, you know, there should be an investigation into it, right? Why are you guys still talking about Rayner then? Why is Andrew Jenkins demanding a full transparency into the Labour Party investigation? You know, surely they should be allowed to investigate, you know, in peace and quiet without you trying to bias any investigations. They don't make these people don't make sense.
I've just answered that question, and this is typical of what we go here, shouting very loudly.
But what are your concerns? What are the concerns that you put to the police?
There's been information, I think, the Greater Manchester Police released, or certainly appeared to release to the Times, and that those, I think, are the broad framing of the matters that they are considering. But, and you may disagree with this, Chris definitely, in the shouting, definitely disagrees with me, but I believe that the Greater Manchester Police should be able to look into these allegations in the way that they think is appropriate.
What are the allegations?
I don't understand why you're not comfortable saying.
Well, we clearly have a different point of view. The allegations or the matters that are being investigated are with the Greater Manchester Police. It is my view that rather than debating,
no one's asking you to debate them. They're just asking you, what did you write in your letter? That's all they're asking is, what did you write in your letter when you wrote to the Manchester Police?
Allegations in public, and rather than going through evidence or not evidence, we should allow the Greater Manchester Police to investigate these matters fully.
For the most part, I think we know what the allegation is. It's that you know, she didn't pay capital gains tax on her property that she sold off. She alleges she didn't live there or some nonsense, and so she didn't have to pay it, or she got tax advice to that effect saying she shouldn't have to pay it. That's, as far as we're aware, those are the allegations. And for us to discuss the allegations doesn't bias any investigation into it. If we said, well, I don't think she's guilty, or I do think she's guilty, that's where you get bias.
And thoroughly, and let justice take its course.
Sorry, can I just jump in?
Yeah.
You wrote to the police. Did you not put concerns with allegations? Didn't you write to them about it?
What did he write to the police saying? I have concerns about Angela Rayner, signed some clown. What's I don't get it.
Am I misunderstanding?
Absolutely.
So what did you ask them? Why won't you say it's weird?
No. Well, this is it. This is the difference of opinion, which clearly I am in a minority in respect to this. I asked the police to investigate certain matters that were in the public domain regarding...
If they're in the public domain, you should have no fear in saying them, because it's already public. You know, it's not going to bias any investigations if it's already there. You know, it's not like you're telling the police, oh, there's these new things that you need to investigate. That's not what's happening here.
Regarding certain things. My point is, which I don't think is an unreasonable point, is that I want the police to be given the time and the space to be able to investigate those matters. That was the Labour Party position. And that's my view, Beth. You may disagree with it, but that's my view.
I'm just curious as to if you wrote to the police and did you ask them to investigate tax matters? Did you ask them to investigate electoral roll issues? That's all I...
Those are the two things in the public domain: electoral roll issues and tax issues.
I think there are a number of matters, and I think that some of the issues that you've raised there are included within that. But I don't want to comment on a police investigation. The police are investigating these matters, and I want to allow them to do that without me, as a politician, commenting on what they should do or what they shouldn't do.
No one's asking you to do that. All they're asking you, what are the allegations? I do not get this geezer, honestly. He's such a whiny crybaby as well. I don't get it, and you know, this is another one where it's just embarrassing.
Let's talk about carers, because...
Well, hang on.
Yeah, as annoying as Brian is in terms of what he did with Lindsay Hoyle and the SNP vote on the ceasefire in Gaza, I think he does well here. You know, he's a lot like Campbell, you know, a real prat, but also the guy you want on your team because he's a real prat. Well, Campbell's more a war criminally prat, allegedly.
This is the worst parliament in our history. 24 MPs have been
in terms of the numbers, you mean?
24 MPs have been suspended for a day or more, or have left Parliament before a report into their misconduct has been published. And on top of that, 18 MPs now don't have the whip. The majority are Conservatives, as it happens. But some of those are people who are accused or have already been found guilty of sexual harassment, bullying, rape, and domestic violence.
One hell of a rap sheet, that is. I'll say one hell of a rap sheet.
This is a terrible Parliament, and one of the things that really upsets me is that Penny Mordaunt, who is the Leader of the House, has had on her desk now for more than 6 months a very simple proposal to deal with precautionary exclusion, risk-based exclusion of MPs who are accused of a sexual or a violent crime, which is exactly what you would have in any other line of work in the country, and she has...
Which is true. It'd be mostly... like, HR would deal with it, and they would suspend the person. Whilst pending investigation, the Commons has the opposite thing where they protect the person who has been alleged to have committed crimes and their name won't be made public. And so it's such a dumb system because that person could go on to perpetrate many more crimes and no one would know.
Refused to bring it to the House of Commons. I think this further brings the House of Commons into disrepute. All the polling over the last 70 years shows that this Parliament is the most distrusted, the Parliament with the worst reputation.
I'm sorry, Chris.
And that's...
You know, I don't know if the night played into that a little bit.
Why I think it's really important.
Position, heal thyself. I mean, you lied about two separate individuals in Parliament, and under threat of legal action, you had to apologise. You lied about Nigel Farage, and you lied about Christopher
You were appointed to the House of Lords by Boris Johnson.
You lied and you refused to...
I mean, he was... I think there was a libel case against him where he did have to retract a statement that he made, even though he tried to use parliamentary privilege to make those statements. He kind of goofed and put it on Twitter as well.
Apologise. And Chris, we're not going to have mudslinging here in terms of party politics.
I mean, it's not mudslinging. Let's talk about facts. You know, what unfortunately what that Lord is saying is true. And then the result of, well, you were put in the House of Lords by Boris Johnson is like, that's a great response, but, you know, not Brighton's finest moment there.
It's an important point that you made about... Hang on. It's an important point that you made about Penny Mordaunt and what should happen in these cases in terms of having access to the Palace of Westminster. We're going to leave it there.
It should really be made public if members are charged, honestly, by the police. Because in any other world, they would be. They would be charged, even if they're not found guilty, or even if there's not enough evidence to prosecute them at the CPS level. There is still... name would still be made public. So, you know, what Brighton is pushing for is the correct thing to push for. And this other guy, he's a bit of a clown, but again, like, yeah, what Brighton did, he did have, I think, he had at least one case against him for libel or something in that vein. But, you know, what he did was a lot less worse than what that Tory rap sheet is, what he just mentioned there. You know, harassment, bullying, domestic violence, etc. Those things are way worse than anything Brighton was accused of. Well, apart from him kind of stopping the ceasefire thing, but even then that's nowhere near as bad as any of these ones. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.